Now on to health insurance. If you've used one of those free one-on-one assistants to find health care options through the Affordable Care Act, you're probably familiar with the navigation program.
That's what they specialize in, but due to budget cuts, the program will be coming to an end in the Coastal Bend. Our Marissa Cummings joins us in the studio with those details. Marissa.
That's right. Agencies and nonprofits like the Coastal Bend Center for Independent Living are a part of the Navigator program. They go through a step-by-step process with individuals to find health care that best benefits their needs in the ACA marketplace. The assistance is funded by the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare grant. Christina Butler is with the Coastal Bend Center for Independent Living and says because of the Navigator program, 46,000 people in the past 5 years have been assisted. But starting September 12th, that assistance stops. She says there's not enough grant money to go around the state of Texas anymore.
So it was $63 million in years past, and now it's $53 million because of the $10 million cut. And Texas is only going to receive $1.25 million.
And Butler believes that a sliver of the grant allocated to Texas will only be divided to the bigger cities, leaving places like Corpus Christi with no funding. She also says although there will no longer be any in-person assistance, you can still go to healthcare.gov website for help or call their number at 1-800-318-2596. Marissa Cummings, 3 News. Rudy?
Thanks, Marissa, for that. Meantime.